Oop. Speakers are still on. I'm just streaming. We're just live. Let's go. All right, I replaced this battery so I can light myself again.
Did you empty my SD card?
2 of them.
No. All right.
I'll empty the 3rd one. I'll give it to you this weekend. The video turned out pretty good. I'm gonna have the panel done this weekend for sure.
I'm working on the slides for the.
And I got all the
what?
all the other video. So I think I might make a.
I think we can still. I might play Netrunner on Sunday, but we can still make the video on Sunday.
Oh yeah, that's gonna take. It'll take us 10 minutes of setting up the shit and an hour because it's just like doing a panel at a con. We'll just do it.
Here's the thing: is I'm not sure if I want to. Like, I started making slides, but then I was like, wait a minute. Do I actually want to show these slides on the screen, or do I want to have us look at something with more info, and then when I actually make the video, just put like lower thirds, and then do who's the guy who made the Civil War documentary?
Ken Burns.
Yeah, do the Ken Burns thing where I show the screenshot from the anime and slide over it.
That's not a bad idea. Well, that's it. Do we want to?
Do we want to show all that text in the video?
That's the question. Then, do you want to live stream it at all, or do we just want to record it?
No, I do
as
not want to live stream. I just want to YouTube only.
Yeah, well, let's live stream it, but then we'll make the video.
I don't want to live stream. I just want YouTube video only.
Okay. You don't want to live stream the I guess that's good because then we can hide the. You want me to gargle? So I'm not gargling juice, you monster, but I'll gargle this water.
I don't have any news. Except the problem is all the newses are gaming newses or whatever, or tech newses.
I'm talking about the voting, because I voted. Did you vote?
My party changed whatever New York timing.
Wait, so what party are you in?
I'm technically still in the nothing until
Why?
Whatever.
Oh yeah, I guess it takes basically a year.
In New York it does. You can't
You didn't change before the election? I voted. I actually voted for Hillary in the primary, so.
I mean, the other thing is where I live, there's nothing to choose.
You got de Blasio.
Yeah, that's who I wanted, and that's what I got.
We had public advocate, which I don't actually know 100% what they do.
Whatever her name is.
Yeah, so there's someone running against her, and I looked up in both. Anyway, I'll talk about it in the show. I did research on both of them, and I can talk about who I voted for in the Democratic primary and why.
Okay.
Souvenir.
It's gonna the thing is, I just needed to be in time for next year.
Oh, I spelled souvenir way
Next year is way more important.
Yeah.
Governor. That's the best election, governor. Because that's an actual real important job.
And
your vote counts
and on
a whole lot.
On one hand, Cuomo is fighting the fascists on the federal level, but on the other hand, he's really fucking New York City.
He likes to pretend, but he talks one way and walks another way.
He says the words MTA occasionally to try to placate us. That's about it.
He basically says something way progressive and does something regular old Democrat style, and also corrupt money guy style with all his.
Honestly, the only person of all the people, the only person I'm sick of is Bernie Sanders. Like I just kind of want him to go away at this point.
Well, the person I want to go away. I mean, I guess you're talking about a person on the left you want to go away.
Oh, yeah. let's qualify that. Because, honestly, I want Bernie Sanders and about 51% of the entire government to go away. Oh, we got a bunch of people watching. I'll give you a news if you don't have a news. Here, I got a slash shot. Let's see what news there is there.
It's all the stupid. It's Apple News. Oh my god, everything is Apple News, but we got to save it till Monday.
I guess I'll start audition.
And I didn't watch the South Park yet. I got to do that when I get home.
Yeah, it's interesting because
I went through 2 more pages of news. They're all still Apple News.
All right, let's see. I went to /. Apple.
Google. It's all technical.
Hyperloop. Something about computers. Bitcoin something.
What's in news is not.
Plastic something, Google something, advertiser is mad at Apple for blocking cookies. Yeah, fuck you, whoever you are. Here, let's go to Google News.
That's where I'm going.
Or go to Fark. Fark will give you something.
I don't read Fark though.
Well, there's been good stuff on Fark lately. Like that's how I knew about the woman who threw the poop out the window and then got stuck, like way before everybody else. It's like the AP wire of women throwing poop out of a window and then getting stuck in it. Now we got like 4 people watching us figure out what to do the show on. New multi-track session, 2017. This is getting the pre-production here, guys. 09-14. Oh my God, it's almost winter. Whoop. All right, guess that's ready. Save that. There you go. There's a happy dog Photoshop. Jimmy Carter was flying a pirate flag on something, I guess.
Still alive. What a badass. See you live that long.
The self-proclaimed most vile man in the world posted a threatening video.
What's vile about this person?
I don't know. I got the creepy tag. So the tags on FARC are one of the most accurate pieces of metadata in the world. So if you see the creepy tag, you probably don't want to read that story. That's.
I want to use this news.
Which one?
I sent it to you, I think, already.
I'm already out of my mail client, so.
I mean, I sent it to
Because
you.
I don't want to accidentally put my mail on the live stream because I got stuff in there. What'd you send me?
I sent it. It was a while ago. I'll send it again.
Okay.
The greatest headline of the last.
Yep. That's good. That's good. That's good news.
I didn't actually read the article.
I didn't read the article either.
I don't need to. Don't need to. Greatest headline ever.
All right, so someone in the chat before we start the show, they read that poop story. They said, yeah, that poop story was great. And apparently we're doing Seinfeld right now. Because this is a show about nothing. Fun fact, we did a show called Show About Nothing like 4 years ago. Because we were like, oh, we don't have an idea for a show. And then you were like, what if we actually do a show about nothing?
Who's in that chat there?
Dazzle. Anos Fruit Salt.
I don't know who that is.
Cole Guy.
Oh, Cole Guy, what's up? There was I was thinking about him yesterday.
I was thinking about him for a bunch of reasons.
Because
we need him for our convention.
Because he told me the right tablecloth material to buy.
Oh,
and I forgot what it was.
I just realized of all the people we know we could ask that question of, he probably is the most qualified.
Well, he told me before. He's like, buy this kind, but I forgot what kind it was, and I couldn't find it on Google.
Because he gave me those box bands for my board games. Like he gave me some bags of them.
I was looking for a tablecloth for my coffee table because it's all gross. But rather than buy a new table, I can just.
Because that tablecloth I bought for board games is not great. Like
I can just buy a new tablecloth.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that thing. All right, well, he'll message you there. I'll start.
I'm sure he'll see it eventually.
It's going good. It's Thursday, September 14th, 2017. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we're talking about souvenirs and such.
These digitized
you can always tell when we didn't have a good idea for what to do the show on.
Yeah. I got like tons of like opening bits, and I got a few things of the day. I actually have a lot of news, but it's news I got to save for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't have any Thursday appropriate news.
I'm going to get more Thursday appropriate news, or at least a lot of Geek Bites, because I'm watching a lot of stuff that you're not watching. So
I'm watching stuff you're not watching.
Yeah. You should watch Little Witch Academia, though, because...
I want to. I'm paying for Hulu right now because South Park started yesterday. I'm going to watch it as soon as I get home today.
Crushed Velvet is the material you're looking for.
I will go buy some. Thank you. I'll buy that.
Wait, let's get some Crushed Velvet underwear, some Crushed Velvet Geek Night shirts.
That's all you. I'm just getting Crushed Velvet tablecloth.
I like to drape myself in velour.
Anyway.
So, in the news, I hope you voted, and you're probably thinking, wait,
I guess if you live in New York State,
we had our primary,
city,
and Emily and I went and voted. So the saddest thing was we went to vote in the primary, and won.
No one's there.
There were 10 poll workers there, and they were all so excited
that someone showed up.
Yep. That we were there. Oh, I had a tab playing in the background. And so happy that we were there voting. So the two choices we had were. We had to vote in the mayoral primary for the Democrats, which
that's actually you're voting for mayor, basically. That's the
thing.
mayoral election.
I don't care if you want to say you're an independent because the Democrats are more centrist than you'd like. Like I can understand that, but if you live in a place like New York, the Democratic primaries are the elections for literally everything because Republicans ain't winning shit.
Some districts, but yeah, where you live, that was the vote. The people you voted for are the winners.
Yep.
And you might think, oh, well, it's already decided, but it's like, no, it's not. If you look at like some of the percentages, it's not like, one person has 100% and everyone else has 1. It's like, you'll see like, oh, de Blasio had like 70 or 80 or something.
I imagine that like 11 people voted in that primary.
No, it gets down to 2 digits past the decimal point.
And the biggest danger is, like, in the Democratic primaries in New York, you'll see, like, one normal liberal a crackpot liberal,
Mm-hmm.
and then a bunch of fake liberals who are actually really conservative or religious or weird.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't risk one of them winning a primary because no one voted.
Well, that's that happens. It's Simcha Felder.
So on the other side, we had public advocate. I think was the other thing we could vote for.
Letitia.
Yep. So there were two people running, and I looked up their platforms, and their platforms are pretty much identical, other than the only way to distinguish these two candidates is that the incumbent, who I voted for, is a black woman, and the person running against her is a white dude. So I voted for her because, duh.
She hasn't done a bad. I mean,
No.
if you look at
Her platform is great.
if you look at like if you go to any sort of online community of New York City people who are talking about local or state level politics, basically everyone, no matter what side they're on, bashes everybody who's currently in a elected position.
Yep. Oh, de Blasio, he's so conservative. It's like, no, he's
it's
not,
exactly
dude.
the same as when you go to a Mets game and those are your players that you picked. And during the off season, you were like, yeah, trade for that guy. And now that they're on the field, you bum. Yeah, get off the field, you bum, right? So that's what you see. You never see a single positive thing said about anyone. So if you go look up, Letitia online, and you'll see like people talking, everyone's like, oh, she's done such a crappy job. She's worthless. But then it's like, if you actually look at what anyone does, it's like, they're pretty much doing what they said they would. All my representatives, it's like, even if I thought about running, it's like, well, I can't even run for anything because I'm not better than any of the people.
Yep, they've spent more time, but
they're all doing what I would do, only better.
The other difference was that the incumbent, who I voted for, has a little more, like, her policies were more focused on social justice, and the white dude, the top of his policy list were all about small business. And I feel like social justice is way more important right now for obvious reasons. The important thing is
small businesses in New York are having real problems, really.
Yeah, but
they're doing pretty good.
My message is that if you didn't vote in the primary, whatever, but at least vote in the 2017 election. Not because it matters, because you're probably gonna only have one person. They're all.
I basically have no choices. The only choice I have is I go in and it's like choose 5 judges, and there's 6 judges. And one of the judges is a total crackpot, obviously not a real judge.
Yep.
And it's like
vote for 5 out of these 6.
It's choose the 5 judges you already have. It's like, okay.
It's just whack-a-mole of pick the crackpot. It's almost like a CAPTCHA for government.
This is why you got to go next year when you vote for governor, because not only do you vote for governor, the most important action, right?
Yep.
You can also maybe kick out your awful state senator if you have an awful one. The next district over does. I have the best one, and the next district over has the worst one.
Pretty much if you don't live in the limits of actual New York City, your state representatives are probably garbage.
Right. But also, that's when the questions come out.
Oh, yeah, the questions that people don't read and vote randomly on.
The ones, remember we were in Beacon and we voted yes MTA money and everyone else voted no MTA money?
Yep,
and now everyone's complaining that as old as GeekNights, that we were living in Beacon at the time, right? As old as GeekNights, we voted yes MTA money back then in the last decade. And now this decade, everyone's like, MTA sucks. It's like, I seem to remember voting yes MTA money in 2008 or something.
What's that, Simpsons episode?
Whatever year it was. 7, I don't know.
We could certainly fully fund the schools with a simple $1 per year tax. And Homer's like, taxes? Ah! So, yeah, in other news, Scott forwarded this article to me, and the headline really speaks for itself. What was that headline?
Uranus opens and closes every day to let out planet solar wind.
I feel like every copywriter in the entirety of journalism was trying to craft the same headline for this story.
I mean, I'm sure this is going to tell you some story. I haven't read it, and I don't really care about like how storms on Uranus, or there's like maybe a hole in the surface of Uranus.
I'll tell you what, there's a storm in Uranus right now.
And there's stuff inside of the planet that comes out for some reason, or I saw pictures and it showed it looked like how Jupiter has a giant ass storm on it.
Giant ass storm.
Yeah. It was like a picture of like a day in the life of Uranus, and in one part of it,
you do not want to see a day in the
storm
life
was
of
there,
Uranus.
and another part the storm was gone, and it was opening and closing somehow. It's like, you don't need to really know much more than that. You're never going there, not in your lifetime.
So there's an episode of Rick and Morty, and that show's great. Like, you haven't watched it, I know, but it is actually pretty great.
There was some drama with that show today.
New drama?
No, involving the animators like making a union, and show running guy being upset. And
Oh, so the animator union thing has been an ongoing issue, not just with that show. And yeah, well, that's a good time. That's a good news for Tuesday.
Speaking
actually.
of the Korean TV stations are on
Wednesday.
strike too.
Yeah. But anyway, in that episode, there's this like gaseous entity that gets named Fart, and really that's the thing. But
it's an acronym for something, but you don't care.
no. So basically, it can read minds, and I don't want to get into the weeds of this episode, but it turns out it's evil, and it'll destroy all life in the universe if it gets its way from its home like dimension. So
hold it in.
No, so Morty murders it, and then he goes back on the spaceship with Rick, and Rick wasn't there. Like, Rick doesn't know that this thing was actually evil. And then Rick's like, I know you're sad you miss your friend, Fart, but I got good news. I actually found out where his kind come from. And there's a portal, and there's thousands of them behind this portal, and we're going to get him. We're going to bring him into our universe. And he's like, no, you'll kill us all. And then Rick just farts and just laughs, and that's the end of the episode. So, yeah, Uranus.
Always love a good Uranus joke.
Yep. Just killing time before we get to the main bits. And things of the day. So what do you got?
So check this out. This is a time lapse, right? But this time lapse is 30 days. I've made time lapses before of like Hurricane Sandy out my window and stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember. I recorded audio.
I made time lapses of board games at PAX. It's
In
like
fact, if anyone wants that, I have a Moran's recording of like a couple hours of the hurricane.
But whoever this was made a 30-day long time lapse, which like I'm just like, whoa, how did you powered your camera for 30 days, you had 30 days of storage. But I guess if you're only taking like a photo every hour or so, there's plenty of time between shots to like change batteries or swap SD cards or who knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? But he kept it, still, you got to remember and keep it going for 30 days and line everything up, make it perfect. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. But this person was on a container vessel.
Oh, those are a good kind of vessel.
And I think it starts the time lapse like leaving the Suez Canal, and then it goes really, really far, and you can basically see the whole world. The whole Atlantic Ocean, I guess. It's one of the better time lapses I've seen ever. Like, it could be like top 10 time lapses in history of time lapses.
This is real good.
It's only going to take you how long to watch?
10 minutes.
I think that's a good use of your 10 minutes compared to whatever bullshit you were going to do, like listen to Geek Nights. Just stop this podcast right now.
It's definitely worth 10 minutes of your time. So this is just a tiny thing, but I bumped into it the other day, which is really cute. It's a really short animation. And it's just Princess Peach pulling up a vegetable and killing some dude with it. And that's it. And it's just really cute. And I like stuff like this.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Is it by an animator we know?
It's not by one of the like 4 channels that we keep inexplicably going to.
You mean like Piece of Sheep or Rice Pirate or
none
whatever?
Of those.
No,
this is Mark Hendry.
All right, well, maybe Mark Hendry's worth subscribing to. Let's check it out.
Yeah, this is like 20 seconds long, and the whole rest of the video is just like storyboards and concept and animatic and how-to and like everything. It's just really cute.
Okay.
So yeah, in the meta moment, the book club book is the 5th season.
I am halfway done with this book, and I just read chapter where crazy shit happened. I didn't think it was going to happen until the end of the book. I'm like, yeah.
I'm into it, what I've read so far, and I'm going to power through it over the coming weeks so we can do a show on it.
You know what I can say about it? It's doing one of those things that fantasy novels tend to do, where you have one chapter about one set of characters, another chapter about another set of characters, and you sort of go a little back and forth, right? See what these are people up to, see what those people are up to, right? And usually, when you have a situation like that, say a Prince of Nothing, I end up caring a whole lot about some of them, and not a whole lot about some of them.
I was like, oh, Kelmomus again. I just want to get back
it's
to
like
the good stuff.
Another Kelmomus chapter. No.
But then at the end, when you stop seeing
give me
Kelmomus,
the horse breaking.
You're like, wait, what's Kelmomus up to now?
Yeah, but
I want a Kelmomus chapter.
Well, no, I just want horse breaking every chapter. But
anyway, it's interesting that Kelmomus' name is Kelmomus, considering the name of the king.
Anyway,
the
point is that in this book, 5th season, that you should definitely read, that is our book club selection, they have gotten to a point where I now equally care about every single different thing they're focusing on. There is hot shit.
The moment.
There is hot shit going on in all of the different lines of story, and I can't wait for the Snatch car crash to happen.
I just still can't get over. I love the planet and that kind of stuff because now that I've seen that theme, because there's the player of games planet, there's the Dune planet. I'm starting to notice other planets. I think the Prince of Nothing planet might have like literal hell inside of it. So I feel like that's going to be a thing with me now. I might have to add planet with a deal right next to weird magic system and precursor technology.
Yeah, if you don't have a terrible secret of space, it's terrible secret of the planet you are on.
Yeah. So otherwise, this weekend, unless something horrible happens, we're going to actually do something that we should talked about a long time ago. Because as you know, for every year at Anime Boston, we would do a panel called Judge Anime by Its Cover. One of those, two of them are on YouTube. I think Cold Guy uploaded one, or two. Oh, he uploaded one, I uploaded two. And we only stopped doing it because we skipped Anime Boston. And now that there's like 7 goddamn PAXs to go to, we've been cutting back on our non-PAX conventions, and I don't know if we'll return to Anime Boston regularly in the future.
Who knows? But the point is, what we're going to do 4 times a year, I guess we're going to do the fall season in September, and I forgot when I'm supposed to do the winter, spring, and summer ones, but someone will remind me. We're going to take the anime chart for what animes are coming out. So in about 30 days is going to be new animes.
Oh, hey, the original one got like 13,000 views.
And we are going to go through each show looking only at the title, the name of the studio, a short description, and a screenshot, a promotional image, and judge what that anime is going to be about, whether it's going to be worth watching, whether it's going to be good. And then 4 months from now, when the anime season ends, you can tell us how right or wrong we were. We've been very right in the past.
I got to say...
it'll be even more impressive if we actually make these predictions every single season, and we can see what our actual track record is.
What's gonna help is that
we can even make another set of videos at like the end of
the postmortem.
We can do at the end of a season. We could be like how we did last season, and then here's the new season.
But so
also you farted. That's the worst part.
I warned you.
Usually your fart. You always like, oh, here comes a deadly fart, and I don't smell nothing.
What?
But no, it smells like someone like diarrhea in the corner.
On the day, the thing is, it's definitely a fart as opposed to the 7th guest.
I'm pretty sure this is the 7th guest, and you did it in your pants because it's not going away.
I'm a space traveler. What can I say?
We found the guilty party.
But in the video we uploaded in 2013, we were right on literally every show except we said that Sailor Moon Crystal was going to be good.
Did we actually say that?
We did. We were like, this will probably be good, and we gave a bunch of reasons why. We were also super, like, doubly, crazily right about Eccentric Family. What we said that show was going to be was, like, 100% what that show was.
I have no idea what we said then, but I know what we see now, which is that show is super great.
When I vaguely remember, because I was looking at these videos recently to kind of guide how we do this, now that we're going to do it as a YouTube show. When we pulled the slide up for Eccentric Family, you, like, clapped a little bit, and you were like, that show's going to be our show.
Anyway, lastly, I just want to remind everybody, if you go to the internet, which I'm sure is a place that you go often, you can find us in many, many places, such as Twitter, Facebook,
our own website,
FrontRowCrew.com, iTunes, Instagram, where I posted like 2 photos.
Google Plus, I post up. Actually, I forgot to post it the Tuesday show, but I usually post.
You're doing
episodes.
that by hand because I'm not doing that automatically.
There's no API that I know of. Did they add one?
And I don't think so.
Yeah, because the only reason G Plus wasn't automated is there was never a fucking API for it that I knew of.
Right. And
don't tell me if this then that.
2 different YouTube channels. Right.
Yep.
It's like you can find us on the internet. You should go on the internet and find us, especially in our forum, which is more active than it has been. And when I told people to go there, quite a few people listened to me and went there. And if you're one of those people who went there and joined, you should just make a habit of going there once a day and reading the threads that interest you and maybe saying something once in a while.
Yeah.
Because saying this has gotten people to sign up to our forum.
And it reminded me because
not a lot of people are posting regularly.
So a long time ago, I want to say 2006 through about 2009, the GeekNights forum was crazy rocking. Like, the traffic there was kind of ridiculous.
It's never been dead, but it's less rocking than it was.
But it's more rocking in the last year than it has been in the year before.
I think since we changed the software has helped a bit.
Yeah, because vanilla was starting to fall on its face pretty bad.
Yeah, and and we were paying for it then. I saved a lot of money not paying for that anymore.
Yeah, and it works way better, what we're using now. Like, I have almost no complaints about this forum software.
Well, I have a lot of complaints, but I fixed them most
I've also,
of them.
I got to admit, I've come around a little bit on Docker.
No.
I've come around a little bit more now that I've used it for some other projects.
I still can't figure it the fuck out.
So the problem is most people who make like Docker containers suck at computers, so Docker containers feel like they suck. If someone knows like generic computer and they make a Docker container, the configuration of how you like make that Docker thing works the way you'd expect. The problem is most of the people who are putting stuff in Docker are people who don't know shit about system administration.
Hey.
That is my opinion. But this is a Thursday show, so most of you have no idea what we're talking about.
It's still a mess.
So yeah, souvenirs.
Well, sort of, right? So, I mean, I guess we can talk about the concept of souvenirs first, right? It's like you're traveling somewhere and they're selling a bunch of useless crap like I Love New York t-shirts, and you buy one. Why?
So as a kid, when I did travel anywhere other than Cedar Point, because our annual vacation, we always went to Cedar Point a bunch of times. That was like that was a big part of my life, as you can tell if you listen to Geek Nights. So when we went somewhere other than Cedar Point, there was like this culture of you got to get souvenirs, and that was just a thing. And I didn't really think about it. I'm in Disney World, I have to get a souvenir.
Yeah, we would go to a gift shop, and you'd go every time there was a gift shop at a place you went, you'd buy something. And a lot of the times, it was because, at least in those days, the 90s, 80s, those gift shops were selling things that you couldn't get. There was no internet to buy stuff on. There was no Amazon.
Also,
so you
I
would
was
see
young.
You would see things in the gift shop that you would not see in any store in your town or any mall or any place that you could buy things.
Get that Bort license plate with Mickey Mouse on it.
All right, so you'd be like, whoa, that is a thing, and the only way I can get that thing is to buy it here in this one place. Therefore, I will buy it. The other reason I think to buy a souvenir, the legitimate reason, is as some sort of memory thing, right? So like you buy this, from this place, and then when, someday in your house you notice it because you have it lying around, and then now you're able to remember that trip you went on, whereas otherwise you might have forgotten it.
Yep.
An additional memory aid.
There's one other component to this, is that most of the souvenirs I acquired over the years were when I was a kid traveling with family, and other family members would like push to get souvenirs, which usually meant...
Well, I mean, I was a kid. I just like buying stuff.
But yeah, as a kid, anytime I had the discretion to make a purchase of any kind, it was use it or lose it. So I was going to use it. But I usually wanted like a toy as opposed to just a tchotchke.
Well,
even
sometimes you go to like a science museum gift shop. There's toys there, right? Stuff like that. Sometimes you can get a useful thing and not just a useless thing. Like those people who collect spoons.
So my grandma collected the fuck out of spoons. She has the tiny spoon.
Yes, the tiny collecting spoon that goes in the wooden thing on the wall.
They also did the pin thing after they went to Australia a bunch, where they had a hat and they'd put all their pins in the hat. And they really tried to get me into both of those. So they get us a spoon. Like on my birthday, I get like a real present and a spoon. But before we get into actual souvenirs, I found that as I've traveled more, because in the last like 6 years, I've traveled all over the world a bunch. And also I moved to New York, where I don't get a lot of room. I try to bring as little, like I always try to come home with less than I flew out with. Like I try to bring as little home as possible. So I transitioned from like the first time I was in London, I was like, ooh, and I got some stuff. And the first time I went to Hong Kong, I was like, oh shit, I got to get something. But I really rapidly shifted from buying a traditional souvenir to buying something consumable, like a food or something that I'd bring home and we'd eat it immediately and then it's gone.
Right. Well, for the memory purposes, we don't have internet. So it's like there's some sort of digital record of my trip now. So I don't really need to bring home like some tchotchke to remind myself of the time.
Well, that's it. I make a point whenever I travel of
I got videos and photos that went up immediately.
Even if I travel somewhere stupid, I make sure that I take a few pictures with my phone no matter what, because that locks it into a bunch of digital timelines forever.
The other thing is that being someone who lives in New York City and works across the street from garbage souvenir shops, right, that sell I Love New York t-shirts and other crap, and someone who's been to places like the beach that sells horrible schlocky souvenir crap, right? I now look at souvenirs as schlocky, worthless crap. So even if I go somewhere, like say, I don't know, if I went to like Vienna, which is where I've never been, but and they had like souvenirs, my eyes would still see them as worthless garbage crap.
Well, if they're that kind of souvenir, like model statue of the Eiffel Tower.
They don't have Eiffel Tower in Vienna.
Well, I'm on the Wikipedia page for the word souvenir, and that's the first image.
Yeah, it's like, you don't need a little metal Eiffel Tower. What are you going to do with that?
Yep.
That's worthless. Why do they even make those? Who buys those, and what do they do with them?
So
They put them in their house for a little bit, and then they throw them out? They go in a, I don't know.
my favorite souvenirs in my entire life are actually minor injuries. Partly because when I travel...
That's how we're going to take this episode?
No, I'm just saying when I travel, I tend to do sports. Like I run a lot.
Yeah, don't do any with Rim.
Mountain bike.
You'll
yeah.
die.
Yeah, yet again. So last weekend I was in Salt Lake City mountain biking, and what happened? Someone on the trip like busted their hand real bad.
All right, so if we go on vacation and we're going to do any sort of activity,
Just don't go mountain biking with
Rim's
me.
going alone, and the rest of us are going a different way.
But if I go alone, nobody gets hurt. It's only if I go with other people, they get hurt.
Well, at that time you almost fell and died, your glasses fell, whatever.
Yeah, but I survived. And actually, so there's a tiny crack like on the edge of the frames of those glasses. And that little crack, like you can't really see it, but I can feel it from run my finger over it. This might sound weird. That is a souvenir to me because every time I put on those glasses, I feel that little crack. And I remember when I was out in the outback on this pillar and I almost lost my only pair of glasses.
Yeah, great. Every time I look at my messed up scar on my chin, that's not a souvenir. That's like, fuck, I wish my chin was the way it was before.
Like whenever I notice, like I have a
It was
couple of-
already a fucked up chin from falling on my face previously, and now I fell on the same place on my same face 2 times.
I got a couple scars on my knees.
My right chin is way bigger than my left chin.
And every time I feel them, there's like some
But I'm not getting plastic surgery to fix it. Fuck
I
that.
got some spots on my left knee where hair doesn't grow because I've had like pretty big bike accidents over the years. And every one of those little divots that doesn't have hair, I have a specific memory of a great time I had mountain biking.
Great.
Except actually the worst of those injuries was not mountain biking. I was just like biking on a sidewalk, just way too fast.
I mean, I was just biking on a street.
Yeah.
Into a tram track with no tram coming.
You were just biking on a street, but it was a street filled with deadly traps, to be fair. Because as we learned after that trip, the tram tracks claim a lot of bikers, like on a monthly basis.
If
It wasn't
only
just you.
I avoided all other obstacles, but there was one I did not foresee. It came.
So-
It came before.
When I first started traveling globally, my favorite souvenir was actually to bring back a tiny amount of local money. But now that I've
I
traveled
have
lot,
quite a bit of local monies from many places.
But now I have in my junk drawer, I probably have like 3 pounds of coins from all over the world that you can't exchange coins in the U.S. No one will take them.
The bank will use
No,
them.
they'll take bills only.
What if they add up to enough money?
They still don't want the coins.
Really?
For most countries, they don't want the coins.
I mean, you're in New York. You could wait for someone from the country where the money's from.
Yeah.
Exchange it with them.
But the worst part is, with the bills, I'll bring them on my next trip, even though I think to India that's technically illegal, but whatever.
Really?
Yeah, don't get...
If you take rupees out of India,
There's
you
big
can't
signs
bring
in the
them back
airport
in.
that are like, you cannot have Indian money when you come into the country.
Really?
You're also not allowed to have unapproved maps.
What?
If a map shows the wrong borders in Kashmir, that map is technically illegal and you can be arrested or deported.
Does Google Maps correct itself
No.
when you enter India?
Technically, don't get me started on this.
Okay.
You also
I
can't
guess
bring-
I'm not bringing my phone to India. Well, I wasn't planning to go to India anyway.
The other thing you cannot bring is satellite phones.
It's not high on my list of places to go.
Satellite phones are like way illegal in most of Asia
Why?
because it lets you communicate without going through the state-controlled systems.
Oh, okay.
So sat phones are a big no-no.
Mm.
Have you ever used a sat phone?
I've seen one.
The weirdest thing about them is that there's just enough of a delay, like when you're talking, to where it makes conversations like really awkward and hard to follow. But it's not so long that you actually like pause and back off and wait for it. So it's just really hard to talk on them.
Mm.
But I digress. So now I just have this pile. I probably have like $500 or $600 worth of currency from all over the world, and I can't do anything with it. And what I got now, I got a pile of like 25-pound notes.
Why don't we make a website? And the way the website works is people send in their money, and we have a shittier exchange rate, but we let people just send in bulk, all kinds of crazy currencies, and then we'll add it all together from all the different people that send us their money, and we'll sort it out.
Why don't I just make it, and I'll make a loot box. I'll make a tier on Patreon for Geek Nights, if you're at that tier, I'll mail out a loot envelope, and it's just random money from around the world.
Oh, you get rid of your money that way?
Yeah.
I was going to say we should make a tier on Patreon, which is don't give us real money. Send us all your random foreign monies.
Nah.
We'll give you all worthless stuff, and then we'll collect a bunch of foreign monies from all these people,
So
and then sort them out, and then we'll be able to exchange them.
there is a coin from a country I travel to a lot. Not going to name names because I don't want any of you to take advantage of this, because I'm not going to take advantage of it other than one time when I did. It is detected as a quarter by pretty much any vending machine in America.
Mm.
And it is worth way less than a quarter.
Oh, really?
Way less.
Oh, wait.
I discovered this by accident, but
Why don't we?
I did fill a laundry machine downstairs with this currency once.
If we go to this country again, let us get some rolls from the bank,
Yeah, we could do that. I
and then
suppose.
buy $1 bottled water at conventions for much less. Because that's pretty much the only time I ever use a vending machine.
So, do you have any souvenirs? Because I don't have that many, actually. I've gotten rid of
Okay.
most over the years.
So
with the caveat of I'm excluding gifts, because I've gotten gifts from people who are from countries, but I treat that as like a very separate kind of thing.
So, I mean, when we would travel places, we go to the gift shop and you'd buy something, right? But when I was very little, well, I guess I don't remember how we got into the habit of doing this, but for some reason we would always buy a snow globe. Just like,
Oh.
I don't know why we did.
It's
I don't know, but it's like, I don't know when it started, but I just remember it continuing. Like, suddenly we had 4 snow globes. It's just like, every time we went somewhere new, we bought another fucking snow
We
globe.
actually did the same thing with music boxes.
Oh, okay.
So that's just the thing that happens. Like,
So
you know what it is?
They're
Once you get some
probably
momentum-
all like, they're mad dusty, and I think they don't have any water in them, but I think somewhere in my house there's probably like a box with like 50 to 100 snow globes in it. And the old ones are like the kind that's made of white plastic and inside, and it's weird to think of like just how many different snow globes there are back in those days. Like, who designed and made all of those different globes, right? And then it's like, then they had a different kind eventually. They stopped making the white kind. They started being the black kind that were a little bigger and had sparkles inside instead of the white snow. And they were a little less fancy because the inside of it wasn't like this little plastic sculpture that was painted. I'm saying using the word sculpture very liberally, but they started just being like a sheet of plastic with an image printed on it inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
That in general, you've noticed that there's like with a lot of these kinds of tchotchkes, like there was an era in the 90s. I feel like that was when like the production values of all that shit went up. And then in the 2000s, the production values went way down.
I think it was the early 90s and 80s was up, and then you can even go to the museums. I've seen like the World's Fair souvenirs from way back, right? And they were really high quality freaking souvenirs. I'm like, dude, I'd buy that. Why doesn't someone like just make those again? But I think the quality of souvenirs.
Let's make the Funko Pop equivalent of snow globes.
But I mean, like
That's our company.
I'm saying
We'll
is the
make billions.
overall physical quality of souvenirs has only been going down over time. It has never gone up, right?
Apparently, the Colombian 25 peso coin also works as a quarter.
Is it worth less than a quarter?
Scott, make a guess. Is 25 pesos worth less than 25 cents?
I don't know how much Colombian money's worth.
Just make a there's a Fermi guess you can make there.
I don't know.
have any Colombian money.
There are
actually.
countries that have money that's worth more than US dollar.
Oh yeah, that is true.
Colombia sells a lot of drugs, right? Isn't that what they're known for?
So you refuse to make one currency stereotype, and you make a very different stereotype.
Yes, that was why it was funny.
So I was hoping when I went to the Snow Globes page on Wikipedia that I'd learn something really interesting. Now, this is literally the most boring topic on earth.
No, it's really boring. However, it was interesting to find out at one point. I don't know if it's still true, but at one point in time, there was like an interest in snow globes, and like particular rare ones that were no longer made were worth a bunch of money. And we happened to have 2 of them. I think I still have them. So there was one. I remember like seeing a news story like Bronx Zoo snow globe. They don't make it anymore. It's worth something. And I'm like, I have that. It was a white plastic snow globe with 2 polar bears in it, and it said Bronx Zoo. And I still have it. I think it has no water in it, but it is mad dusty, but we still have it. And then there's a place in Connecticut that I don't know if it's worth traveling to. You can read all about it online, called Gillette Castle, which, keep in mind, is a castle in North America. It's not old, right? It's not a real castle, like a European castle that's actually from the medieval times. but it is structurally a castle. And when we went there, we bought a snow globe. And then I saw a thing like, oh, they don't make that snow globe from Gillette Castle anymore. It's in high demand from collectors, and I have one of those.
Apparently, old snow globes used bone chips to make the snow.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Okay.
I thought it was plastic bits because the oldest ones I have are the white plastic kind.
So, Scott.
So I figure if there's white plastic for the
Scott, I have
base
a question for
and
you.
clear plastic for the
How-
top, that the bits would be white plastic all chewed up.
How old is plastic? And how old are snow globes?
So plastic is when the old telephones were made with Bakelite. That was
Yep.
sort of plastic.
That
So
was probably the first like mass market plastic.
I don't know if it counts as plastic, right? But the Bakelite is from like the 50s, 60s ish, right? Plastic wasn't really used a lot until like 80s, 90s, 70s, you know.
Snow globes appeared in the
Because you had 8-tracks in the 70s were made of plastic, right?
early 19th century France seems to be when snow globes became a thing.
Oh, so they were like metal and glass?
They were lead glass
and bone chips?
And bone chips.
Uh-huh. Alrighty.
All right, I found.
We didn't collect that kind. We collected El Cheapo kind, not El Fancy ceramic with the glass ball on top that lights up kind. We didn't do that shit.
Yep.
We did cheapo $2 plastic ones.
So I guess I have two.
But they're still good because you look at them and you remember. It's like, oh yeah, I remember we went to that Gillette Castle and that Bronx Zoo and that wherever, right?
So most of the souvenirs I've gotten over my life are buried in boxes at my mom's house. So
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
But the only two that I can, well, the only three I can think of that have real significance that I think about regularly are one, when I went to Disney World for the first time on a band trip, was also the first time I flew in a plane that I was not sitting in the front of. Like, it was the first time I went on a commercial flight as opposed to just riding in someone's Cessna. And I was in Disney World. Everyone was buying all these garbage tchotchke like things. And I remember the only souvenir I bought was this really tasteful black and white like Mickey statue, like old Steamboat Mickey. And I remember that contrast.
I did a similar thing in Disney World, and you actually reminded me of like one of the few souvenirs that is actually in my apartment and not in a box somewhere, right? Is when I went to Disney World, I wanted to get a fancy souvenir too, right? So what I got is this pad of paper and it's basically this base and then a little notepad on it, and then the notepad has like a metal flap that holds the top down. Like you'd put it on a fancy executive desk, that kind of deal, right? Obviously, it's not gold or anything. It's just like gold-colored metal. And then on top of the metal gold cover that holds the pad flat, there's like, you know, like Disney World Mickey with his magic hat or whatever, and it's, you know, it's like Disney World, right? So it's like if you were an executive at Disney World, you'd put that on your desk. And I was like, oh, that's real fancy. I want that. And it was so fancy that throughout my entire childhood, I never wrote on that pad ever.
Yeah.
And it's now in one of the drawers in my apartment. And I saw it like the other day, like, oh, there. And you just reminded me of it.
Yeah. So the second one is when I went back to Disney.
So I guess we had similar things at Disney World. Buy one really fancy souvenir. I didn't buy stupid Mickey ears that you throw away. I didn't buy, you know.
So the second one that I have memories of is pretty recent. But Emily and I went back to Disney World for Ken Mark's wedding, and it was the first time experiencing Disney as an adult, and there was a good time I had all around. But every night, because, you know, there's not much to do at night in
Fireworks.
Disney. Yeah, but instead of seeing the fireworks in Disney, the secret was, because we were staying in Shades of Green, is to go to the Polynesian, because there's a nice like outdoor bar with good food, and you can see over the water, and you can see all the fireworks from there. And they pipe the music from the fireworks into the bar. It's just like, it's a really nice place. So we went there every night and had a drink and some food and hung out. And because it's the Polynesian, they have ridiculous tiki drinks. So I ordered the ridiculous tiki drink, and I got it in the ridiculous souvenir tiki mug. And I still have that giant ridiculous tiki mug. And anytime I drink a weird tiki drink, I will put it in that ridiculous tiki mug. And that encapsulates the entirety of my Disney experience between that and the black and white Mickey Mouse.
You actually reminded me of another kind of souvenir, which is the kind that you get for free when you do a thing, especially you go to a sporting event.
Oh, I still have it. I still have that ticket. It's in my jewelry box. I used to keep it in my wallet.
Oh, the ticket? Yeah. I still have the ticket also.
So, Ass Sweat.
I don't know where it is, but I do know I have it.
Ass Sweat seeping into my wallet was slowly eroding the quality of that ticket. So the ticket is now somewhere secure. But that ticket, to this day, it was the greatest hockey game I've ever seen in my life.
I wasn't even thinking of ticket stubs. I was thinking
But I kept that fucking ticket. That's a souvenir.
I'm thinking of like things you get. Like, for example, and again, a quality decreasing over time, right? If you go to a baseball game today, the best you're going to get is shitty bobblehead night, which isn't even going to be as good as the bobbleheads they sell. It's like a lower tier of bobblehead. It's tinier and crappier, and it has advertisements on it, right? And back in like late 80s, early 90s, when we went to like Shea Stadium, we went, I remember specifically, we went on beach towel day. We got full-size beach towels, the kind you would pay money for free, just handed them out of the door, well, the gate, right? We all had one. So when we go to the beach, every single person had this Snoopy MetLife beach towel, right? We all had them, and we still have them because it was such a high-quality beach towel. It's lasted 20-something years, plus maybe even 30 years, right? That's how good the stuff was. Now, we go to like the playoff hockey, which costs way more than a regular season baseball game, and they give you this tiny, worthless towel and a light stick that lasts 5 minutes. They throw the light stick out, you rub your head with the towel, and you put it in the closet. It's like, come on.
And the only other souvenir I have that I think is kind of important, even though I technically, I guess, smuggled an antiquity. So, as you all know, I used to spend a lot of time in Turkey, and particularly in Istanbul. And I worry that I'll never be able to visit that city again, or at least not in the immediate term by any stretch. But a problem, and I definitely contribute a little bit to this, but in countries like Turkey, certain antiquities are protected, but many of the more important ones are in extreme states of neglect or are otherwise not controlled. So in Istanbul, if you're ever there, the famed Theodosian walls are still there. They've been restored to varying degrees of historical accuracy in some sections, but the bulk of them are there in their, like, the core is the same original core from like 400 AD. And those walls are probably the most important and famous walls in all of history. The Great Wall is probably the only thing even close to it in comparison. But this thing actually fought off, like, these walls were literally impenetrable until gunpowder. But if you're in Istanbul and you go over where these walls are on the edge of the old city, you can just climb up on top of them. Like, there are people who have, like, made houses inside of them in some parts. I was threatened by some people with weapons who were living in there who didn't want me poking around. But I had a whole adventure walking through the literal Theodosian walls, like climbing up in these towers. And it was just there. Like, there's no one guarding. There's nothing. So as I was leaving, I wasn't going to like chip a piece out of these things for obvious reasons.
Let me damage this ancient object.
Further than I already have by walking around inside of them. But some chips of the old part of the wall had like fallen all over the ground. So I picked up this one tiny chip and I took it home with me. And obviously, if everyone did this, this would be a problem. And I'm saying you all shouldn't do it. I got mine. But, but I have this tiny piece of the actual Theodosian walls. And it's just sitting, like, I keep it with me. And it's very profound whenever I touch it to think about all that history. And also to think about all the time I spent living in that city and the fact that I can't go back to that city right now.
You can.
Not safely.
You can.
Not safely.
There's planes that go there.
It is not safe.
If you go to the airport and give money, they'll take you there.
It is not safe.
They'll let you in.
It is not. I would feel safer. I can list a lot of places that you would consider pretty dodgy that I would be more comfortable visiting than Istanbul right now. It is not safe for an American to travel to Istanbul without taking precautions that would make the trip not fun. So yeah, I have that piece, and I will probably carry that souvenir along with that ticket to that hockey game to my grave.
The only time I went anywhere where there could have been antiquities stealing was when I went to Israel, but I didn't steal any antiquities because I'm not an evil person. But I'm trying to remember what I did buy there. I didn't buy a lot because they didn't have a lot of money, and actually, I don't remember if I spent all my money or like I had money and then I lost my remaining monies. I don't remember. But basically, because like even that was when I started to realize souvenirs are crap, especially when like you could people are coming. I was 18, and like you could tell like these people coming up to you on the street. They could tell you're a tourist, right?
Yep.
And they're like, "Hey, come on, buy my Drek, buy my Drek." And I'm like, I can tell it's Drek now. I'm 18.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not even a New Yorker. I haven't lived in New York yet, but I already know.
Oh, I do have. Well, so I used to go to India a lot, and I had a lot of free time just wandering around in Mumbai, and because, you know, the exchange rate and everything, like there's the people trying to scam tourists all the time and sell them tapestries and carpets, usually carpets.
I'll take a carpet. These guys are trying to sell me like worthless junk.
Yeah, they're trying to sell you a carpet, and it's a scam. They're gonna, like, you'll get carpets in the end, but you'll get way more carpets than you expected for way more money than you expected.
Why not? Why can't I just get the one carpet?
Yeah, good luck. I could do a whole show explaining in detail how the carpet and tapestry scams work.
I just be like, one carpet. Nope, one carpet.
They're
nope.
fascinating.
One carpet. I'm only buying one. One.
And in fact,
much one. Nope. This much one. Nope.
So when I have traveled to these places,
you try to hand me another one. Nope, not touching it.
I have watched other people succumb to these scams, and it's kind of funny how...
I mean, I see people get scammed by the CD guys on the street.
Yeah, but these the scams, is particularly in like India and Turkey and like the places in that general, like places that are like that, they're surprisingly elaborate how these scams go. But
Want to make a game about that?
We can make a board game about that.
You have a bunch of carpets. You got to get rid of them all.
At Marrakesh too.
Yeah. You won all the carpets. Now sell them.
So one time I was on my, like, I had a whole day to kill. I had one meeting in the morning and I had nothing to do. I was flying home that night. So my cab driver, like my driver asked him to drive me back to my hotel, and he starts on one of the scams. Because one of the things they'll do is say, "Hey, if you've got some time, how about I can drive? I want to get some coffee, and then let's stop by my brother's shop and let's go have some tea there." If any cab driver ever asks you to have tea with them, they're going to scam you. They're not going to rob you. They're going to scam you. The ones who are going to rob you will be a beautiful woman who comes up to you at a bar and asks you to join her at a better bar. That they're going to rob you and possibly kill you.
Correct.
But so I know it's a scam. Like I'm pretty much like
what I don't understand about that is like, why are you asking someone to go to another bar? It's like, just walk up to someone, stab them, and take their money.
No,
why you got to do this elaborate nonsense?
Because the bar they take you to is in on it.
Oh, so if they stabbed you in this bar, it wouldn't go down?
Yeah. So
what if you happen to accidentally walk into a bar that's in on it?
Let's do a show on... Well, then you're fucked.
And did they stab you right away?
Let's do a show on scams.
I don't know a lot about scams.
I know a lot about scams.
I'm not evil.
I'll do a Patreon on scams. I know a lot about tourist scams in other countries. But anyway, so the cab driver like basically begins the scam, and I'm bored and I got a lot of time to kill. So I basically decided I was willing to spend about $100 because that's about how much it was going to take, probably, for that kind of scam, to experience the full scam.
How many carpets you got? How come you didn't give me a carpet?
I bought this tchotchke that's a bunch of wooden nesting peacocks, and it's on the piano in there.
Okay.
And that's because you had to buy something out of the end, because otherwise the people who run the elaborate scam, they'll actually get in trouble with the scam bosses. Like, it'll fuck them up pretty bad. So, but basically, I went through the whole thing. So I haggle with these people for like an hour over tea about the carpets. And what about that one? What about that one? And then I don't want a carpet in the end. So at least buy something. So I start looking around and I see this one tchotchke, and then there's this sword.
How do you end up running a tchotchke store that you have to scam people to buy stuff in? Why not just run a legit store that sells worthful stuff?
So here's the thing. Those kinds of scams, it's not like they steal $4,000 from a tourist. It's more like they sell the tourist a set of carpets for $4,000 that if you bought equivalent carpets in the US would have been about $2,000. So they make a profit of like $2,000, but you're buying it in the country where it costs $200 to make those carpets. So there is a huge upside, and they pretty much only go after wealthy-looking people. Basically, they look for white people from countries where the people who are tourists from those countries don't know shit about scams and are very easy to scam, and you steal enough from them to be valuable to you, but you don't scam them for so much money that they're going to realize they even got scammed.
I think when we were in Israel, they were selling these backgammon sets everywhere. And they were,
in Turkey, it was the same thing with the backgammon sets.
I could tell by looking at them that they were basically mass-produced backgammon sets.
In Mexico, it was these like stone-carved chess sets.
Right, these backgammon sets came in two sizes, small and big, and you could tell that even though they looked like they were handcrafted, some kind of art, they were actually mass-produced. They were just mass-produced things that looked like they were handcrafted with patterns and designs on them.
So these Mexican chess sets are handcrafted, but in factories.
Right. I mean, this wasn't like some actual artisan thing, right? This was some, just some nonsense, right? So, people bought quite a few of those, and I was like, no, I got one at home. I'm good. I like backgammon a lot, but I don't need that.
Yeah. But basically...
And I don't want to carry that around for the rest of this trip.
That souvenir I have is like the memory of fully interacting with one of those things. And it was just really fascinating to see like the 4 or 5 different people who rotated in through the shop as part of the elaborate thing to get me to buy all these carpets that I didn't buy.
Mm-hmm.
And actually bringing that home was probably illegal because it's made out of wood. So
Customs didn't notice the wood?
Customs doesn't notice shit.
Let's smuggle.
I mean, one time when I was in Hong Kong the first time, I brought back a shit ton of tea.
You're not allowed to bring back tea?
It depends. You can usually bring back tea.
I mean, I could see not bringing back leaves and trees, but tea is already dead.
I had a checked bag full of like a giant sack of vegetable matter.
It's dead though.
Yeah, but
it's not like it's a tomato.
Can you imagine, Scott, another thing someone might have hidden in a suitcase that is a large sack of vegetable matter?
Even if they inspected it, I'm sure they would go, oh, it's tea, and close it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of teas from Hong Kong available in the U.S. It's not an illegal thing to import.
There is a difference, though,
you're bringing enough to open up a tea shop.
Yeah.
And you're not like a business getting around some tariff or something. So, really?
But it's partly that sometimes, like, especially when I travel to Europe, I would forget to declare all the things I had. And there's an allowance, but it's okay as long as you declare it. But I wouldn't remember like that I'd bought a bunch of wine because I was there for 2 weeks. So like on day 2, I bought a bunch of wine.
The only thing that I would really buy and try to like import is go to Asia and buy electronic goods that are unavailable or more expensive here. Like, yes, I will buy that camera that costs twice as much in America. Yes, I will buy that video game that is not available in America.
When I was waiting for my weird cell phone, the Xperia, when I was waiting for this to come out in the U.S., I was in Hong Kong.
And you saw one.
I saw the Asian
Yes, I'll buy that very tiny laptop.
Which was great because actually the Asian variant of this phone is way better than the American version because it has the fingerprint sensor.
Yeah.
And it would have worked on LTE in the U.S., mostly, but it wouldn't have worked that well in Europe, and the bands, it was worth it to wait for the US one.
iPhone has all bands.
Yeah, does it? Every band?
The iPhone has effectively every band you're going to need.
I want to check on that.
Go look it up.
I will look it up, because there are some bands that are not so easy to get, but I digress.
The new, like, since, like, I forget at what point, but at some point, eventually, like, at least the Verizon iPhone that I have, which is unlocked because Verizon deals, effectively, you can just put a SIM card in it as long as you can get the SIM card activated, which is the hard part.
Anthony's in here in the chat. Bone chips. He's still talking about bone chips.
Oh, you like bone chips?
Storm. Bone chips in harmony. I'm thinking about those bone chips.
In Hearthstone, there's a new card that's really powerful called Bone Mare. It's a skeleton horse.
I gotta play skeleton with a bindle when it comes out.
Yeah, sure.
Did you actually go up at PAX and see that game?
I did. You're like this giant skeleton walking across the land.
Yeah, telling stories.
Yep.
All right, I think we killed an hour.
Good. I want to go home.
Yeah, I'm
I spent enough time. I spent enough time here today.
All right, and we're out. There, take that.